Simon Rosenberg and Mark Thiessen back with me now. So, Simon, why is the president so upset about the incoming that's going Susan Rice's way when he is the one who put her out there and she gave false information, knowingly or not? I mean, I'm not making a judgment on that. And then, of course, she's going to take some criticism. Why didn't he just send her back out when, you know, things changed to say, look, I want to clear things up?
Well, I think what happened yesterday was what the president was angry about were two senators saying they would not vote for her for any confirmation for Secretary of State. So it wasn't just criticism, as they were ruling her out as a possibility to be Secretary of State over this, which he doesn't believe is a big deal. And he thinks that her whole record has to be considered in totality, and that people should give him the chance to pick his team for the second term. I do want to say, though, that something Mark said, I'll be very brief, Megyn, is that it's possible that both of these things are true, that there was both a spontaneous demonstration and a terrorist attack. These are not mutually exclusive things. And I think what Susan Rice said that day, if you look at the transcripts, where there were people outside, there was a spontaneous demonstration, which they eventually decided did not happen.
I know,
but they never represented this as anything. They never represented this as anything other than a military-style attack.
But, you made that point. But you made that point. But then they said that there are no signs this was premeditated. No signs. That's not true.
Yeah. I understand,
ahead,
and
Mark.
they corrected that a week later, but they never represented this as a bunch of guys climbing over a fence and throwing rocks through the window. Right?
I got it. I got your point. Go ahead, Mark.
Well, look, this is the reason the president was bristling yesterday is exactly what Simon said, because he's thinking about nominating Susan Rice as Secretary of State, in which the fact that she misled the American people about an attack that killed 4 Americans, including a U.S. ambassador, is entirely relevant to her confirmation.
But let me just jump in, Mark, and I'll let you answer this. Okay, but Simon's point is, how can you hold that? She was given marching orders by the White House. She said what she was told to say, whether it was by the White House or the CIA. That wasn't Susan Rice misleading if somebody was misleading.
This is something that has to be investigated, what she knew, what was presented to her, and also why did no one else who was in the loop go out there? Maybe because they weren't willing to read the talking points that Susan Rice was willing to read. But these are things that need to be investigated. But the point is, this whole affair is a cloud over her name and her nomination. You know, they're not the one besmirching her reputation. Her handling of this has besmirched her reputation. And nominating someone who has so little confidence, it sparks so little confidence, and who has this situation, would be an intentionally provocative act on the part of the president. I think what you saw yesterday is the president is itching for a fight with Congress over this. He's talking about nominating John Kerry, a man who compared the U.S. military to Genghis Khan, as Secretary of Defense, and Susan Rice, a woman who misled the American people about a terrorist attack, as Secretary of State. Those would be the acts of a man who is itching for a fight with the Republican Congress on foreign policy.
I do want to say this. I got to go, but I want to say this. Simon he heads this liberal think tank called NDN, and at his website, ndn.org, if you go to Simon Rosenberg blogs, you will see Simon's full defense of Susan Rice and why he says she never said this was really about a video and so on. And it's an interesting read, and it espouses your position well, because I know you've taken a lot of incoming, speaking of taking incoming, for the debates we've had on this show.
Particularly here, Megyn.
So I recommend people check it out, and they can make up their own minds. You guys, thanks so much.
Okay. Thanks, Megyn.
All right, guys.
Thank you.